All right. Okay there, fellow campers. This is Circuit here. You know, the rider. I'm going to show you a few things I've learned in Gmax and how to get from Gmax to there and a few easy steps with your project. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me good. My throat's kind of, really need a little more coffee. Hang on just a minute. Yeah. If you've known me long enough, you know I love my coffee. Anyway, with that said, you see all these seat tags here. That's because I've got my fire under the ground. But you know what? This soup's going to be done before long, and we got some root beer back there in the cooler to wash it down with. But moving right along, I want to show you a few things about Gmax. Just a few things that I've learned, and I hope you'll learn something from it. Here we go. Alright. Okay, pay no attention to all the icons that I had on my desktop, man. I've collected a lot of stuff over the years. Here we go. Alright, we're just gonna build a simple deck. But before we do that, I want to just kind of introduce you to a few of the tools around here. Now, at the very top, the main important tools we're going to deal with today is this move tool. This is where you can move your object around. We're not going to deal too much with the rotating tool today, but I will show you a few things about that one. And then your select and uniform scale. Now that's how you can, if you've got your model grouped together, you can actually scale up and down by using that. And we're going to be using this link tool to the far left over here. And we're going to be using some of these tools over here. Now, we're going to start out with this create arrow. We're going to click on it, and you're going to make sure this says standard. If it's got one of these other windows open, then just make sure it says standard right here. And then click on this globe right up under it. And that's going to give you the standard object types. We're not going to get into a lot of that, but I am going to show you one that you can get in trouble with real easy if you don't know how to manipulate it. And here's what you do. Okay, the cylinder and the sphere and the cone, all of those have to be dealt with the same way. But let's take the cylinder, for instance. And we're going to start over in this left-hand box. This is a top view. For those of you that don't know, this is the top view, and I'm going to start kind of right there in the center and kind of draw out a cylinder. And I'm going to come up a little bit, and I'm going to stop. You saw it come up in the bottom right screen. But before I click anywhere, because if I click anywhere, this is going to go away. So right here where it says perimeters, I'm going to change it, this 18 to about 8 sides. I want 8 sides around this thing, and I want to take away the smoothing by unchecking. Okay? That's going to save us a lot of verts and polys in the end, believe me. And then, okay, on the radius up here, I want 3 meters. So I'm going to change that to a 3. And the height, I want to change the height to about a 9 meter pole. Okay. Actually, I'm going to change the radius to a 0.3. So we have a pole that's a 0.3 and 9 meters high. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of left click, and we're going to use our roll mouse to kind of zoom in on this pole. And I'm going to go down here and grab the hand actually and kind of move it centered where we can see it. Now, we're not done with it yet. Oh, I messed up here. Hang on a second here. Let me delete that. You want to make sure you also get rid of the height segments. If you don't get, I had it set at 5, you need that to be 1. You can set these things before you make your cylinder. Height segment 1, cap segment 1. You want 8 sides. Okay. You want the smooth unchecked. Then you go ahead and create it. Hit the cylinder. Make sure none of that moves. And then we'll draw a cylinder. You go out how far you want, and then you stop, and then you go up. and then you stop, and then you come over here if you want to make the adjustments like I do. Okay, let's make it a 0.3, and let's make the height a 9. So you have a 9-meter pole. Okay, there it is. Now we're going to right click on this pole because we're not quite done with it. We're going to right click on it and go to properties, and you'll see that it shows 32 faces still. How could that be? It's only 8 sides. Now here's what we're going to do to fix that. We're going to get out of there. You're going to click on this little half of a rainbow blue right here by the arrow. You're going to click on that. That's the modify tab. You're going to make sure this is cylinder 1. That's what I want to modify. It's highlighted. And we're going to click on it and go down to poly select. Alright, that's all we got to do. Now let's check it. Go properties, and look at there, 10 faces, 16 verts. That's more like it. We can use that pole. And you know, we're ready to texture it or whatever. Now remember, when you texture a pole, you go up to modifiers, UV coordinates, UVW wrap. We're going to texture this pole. But you want to make sure you check on cylinder and cap if you want the cap too, and then you just actually just drag your texture over there on it. Drag it over. Come on, drag. Here we go. Drag it over like that. Hey. Now we've got a pole that's got some texture on it, but it's kind of stretched. So this is where your U tile and V tile comes in. You can go 5 on the U, and it gives you a little more up and down there. And you can go on the vertical tile, you can go like 2 to help it, you know. And now you got, you got more tiles in there than what you had. Okay, now we're gonna go file and new, because actually what I want to do is build a deck. We're gonna go, I chose a deck because it's a little bit bigger than the cube, and it will allow us to it will allow me to show you something here. Actually build an object from point A to point B. A deck's not a bad beginner object. I recommend it rather than not much you can do with a cube. You can build a dice, or you can build a mailbox or something, but we're just going to build a deck. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the key I told you about earlier, the create, and we're going to go to the box. Okay, now this box is showing, it's not showing any height segments, which is good. If that shows a 5 or something like that, you need to change it to a 1, that height segment. You don't want any extra segments. Alright, I'm gonna, this little far right over here, if you can see that on the right hand corner, if I click in this box right here and I click that, I'm going to get, you're going to be able to see what I'm doing a little bit easier. So I'm just going to go in perspective view. I may bounce back and forth throughout the process of this. You can always use your mouse scroll to scroll in and out. I like that feature, and you got another little tool by the hand down here. It looks like a little wheel. When you click on it, it allows you to rotate and pivot up, kind of pivot different angles. Alright, so one item up here at the top that we're going to be using, I didn't show you earlier, is this list menu. It's right next to where it says all on the right hand side. When you click on that, it brings down a list. We don't have anything in there yet, so that's why you don't see anything, but when we do, I'll show you again. Okay, alright, we're going to grab a box, okay, and I'm going to start making that box right here, but I want to be precise. I'm going to go back to my menu over here on the right hand side, and we're going to make a 40 meter deck. So I'm going to go 40 by 40. Now you make sure you get these measurements pretty close there. 40 by 40, and of course if it's 80 meter, you definitely want to get it close, because you can't go over 80, and you can't go over 5 meters tall on these big decks like that, like an 80 meter deck. 5 is the most you can go. So on this 40 by 40 deck, we're going to go 4. Okay, so there we have it. Remember the one tool I told you at the top, the move tool? Well, we're going to click on that now. So it has the little arrows around it, and it lights up orange when you click on it. But then I want you to focus your eyes down here at the bottom where the X, Y, and Z is. We're going to put a 0 in the X, and we're going to put a 0 on the Y. And what that did is that put our deck dead center on the grid, and that's where we want to be. If you see, we're right dead center on that grid, and we're right on top of the grid. We're at Z. Okay, now we're at 0, 0, 0. If I wanted it to be a little bit above the grid, I could put a 1 there, and it would bring it 1 meter up above the grid. Okay, but I'm going to leave it at 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now then, we want to texture this box. So what are we going to do to texture it? Okay. Before we texture it, though, let me back up. We're going to make sure, we're going to check the properties on this box. And I can tell you right now, see, it's too many faces for a box. It's showing 12 faces, even though we did all the other, necessary steps, making sure there was no extra heights to it and all. We're still showing 12 faces on a 4-sided box. Should be 6. That's twice the faces. So here's what we remember what we did, huh? We hit OK, and then we went over here to this little half moon, blue rainbow, I guess you'd call it. And then we do the drop down on the modifier list, and we go down and we click Poly Select. That's all you do. Click Poly Select. We come back and check it. And throughout the process you build it, you might want to check your objects, make sure it didn't grow in vertices and polys. All right, we're looking good there. 6 faces, 8 verts. That's good. And we're in your, the dimensions. You see the dimensions are 40, 40 by 4. Okay, that's great. All right. Now, we're ready to texture this box. So we're going to go back up here again. I'm going to click this arrow to bring us out of the Move tool. And I'm going to click on Modifiers. You're going to find Modifiers up there about midways. Click on Modifiers. I'm telling you the name of it because I don't know that you can see that well on this video, so I'm telling you the name of that. It's Modifiers. It brings down a drop-down box, and you go down 4 to UV coordinates and click on the UVW map. Boom, there you go. Now you want on the right hand side, you notice you have all the different, if it was a plane, planar would work. If it was a cylinder, as I showed you before, you click cylinder. This is a box, so we're going to click box. Okay, and we're going to drag a texture over here. I've got one ready to go in my documents here. Okay, I'm gonna slide this grass texture I just made in my Photoshop, bring it over. There it is right there. Now I don't want it to look stretched. I don't want it to look all stretched out. So I'm going to go over here to my U tile, and I'm going to do maybe a 4. Let's do 4 of each. 4 on my U and 4 on my V, my vertical. All right, and that's going to make it where it don't look as stretched when it gets in world. That's what I don't want to do. So I've got the different instances of that. Okay. Got the deck pretty much made. We've got it at 40 by 40, 4 meters by 4 meters. We've got it textured. It all looks pretty good there. What we want to do now is we want to make 2 more copies of this deck. Why? Well, because in there they want 3 different They want 3 different distances of view. Now, if this was a complicated model, you'd want the LOD 2 is the worst. You got LOD 0, that's up close. LOD 1 is a little distance away, and LOD 2 it could be up to 300 or 400 meters away. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Edit. First, we're going to highlight the thing. We're going to go to Edit and Clone. And if you lose I found out that on some of my models I lose my textures. If you do that, you have to click Reference. If not, then don't worry about it. Just hit OK. But before you do, name this where it says Box 02. Name it LOD 1. Hit OK. Go back for another one. Clone. Name it LOD 1. Hit OK. Now you notice on the list here we have 2 LOD 1s. Sorry about that. We're going to select one of the LOD 1s. I'm glad it happened so you can see. what you can do about that. We're going to make that LOD 0. Alright. Now that we look at our list, we've got a LOD 0, a LOD 1, and we need to change this box 01. It says box. We're going to change that to LOD 2. So we're going to select it. And right up here in the name up here, we're going to change that to LOD 2. Now then, we should have 3 named LOD 0, LOD 1, and LOD 2. How about that? We're on the roll now. Okay, now then I want to make sure by clicking on each box, I'm going to click on my move tool up here. And you can see that I'm still on zeros. I click again and it switches, it says LOD 0 up here, and I can see that I'm still on my zeros. So I'm perfectly in the middle on all 3 copies. That's a good thing, okay? But now we want to make a collision box. Okay, so a collision box is going to be made basically the same way that we made these. A collision could be just on the top. If you used a plane, for instance, if you come up here and just click the plane right here and just put it over there, made it 40 by 40, that's all you do. You just have a length and width. If you make this over here a 40 by 40, I'm probably going into a little more detail in this video, but I just want to give you a basic idea. Now, if we set this plane on top, you can't go through it, but you can come up through the bottom. Like if you're wanting this to be a deck that you could jump up with a vehicle, or you could jump up with your avatar and land on top, and this plane is what you want. You want to set it right on top. So the way you do that, click on the move button, put it on 0, 0 down here at the bottom, 0, 0, and then you want it to come up to the top. So we made it 4 meters. So if you click this, if you click 4 on the Z, that should bring it right up to the top. See how it kind of grayed out? We've got that right where we want it, right on the top. Okay, now that's if we want to come up through the bottom. If you want to fall through the top, but you don't want anything coming up through the bottom, then you would reverse that. You would just simply hit the rotate tool, and in the center here you'd put a 90. I'm wrong about that. All right, let's put that back on 0. On the X, you'd put a 90. Actually, why 90? It'd be 180. That's where I'm messing up. Sorry, folks. I need a little more coffee in my system, maybe. All right, we're going to do a 180 on that bad boy, right on in the Y-axis, and it's flipped over. And now we'll put it on 0. Looks on. Go up here and click the move tool again, and put it on 0. On the Z. Now Z is your up and down. So by putting that back on 0, that's going to put that down on the bottom. Now then, things can go through this deck, but they can't come up to the bottom. All right. Now we're going to hit the delete key and get rid of that. Now we have no collision. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a box collision, which gives you collision on the bottom, collision on the top. So I'm going to change the perspective view by going all the way down to the bottom right hand corner and clicking on it, and that brings my other boxes. Now you see this top view, and you got a front view, and you've got a left view. We're going to use the top view. If I click on that and click I'll go back to the right hand corner again, well, I'm just showing the top view right here. Okay. So I'm going to grab the box on standard primitives, and I'm going to go right with these lines right here, right with these lines. All right, and I'm going to go over here to my perimeters. I'm going to make sure that my perimeter says exactly 40 by 40, and the height is 4. So this should be the same size as my deck, which is going to give me collision all over the thing, the sides, the bottom, and the top. So you don't want nobody messing with that deck. They're not going to be able to go through it or under it or over it. You know, they can go under it, but they're not going to be able to go through it. You've got your collision set. Now Where it says box 01 right here, go ahead and change that to COL. I always capitalize it, COL, for collision. Now, we got that did. I'm going to go back to my other views now, and you can see it's set at collision. I'm going to click the move tab and make sure it's on 0. It's not perfectly on 0, so we're going to put that collision perfectly on 0 like we did the others. All right, so we have our collision and we have our grass decks in there. Let me just do a little rotate here and look at that. Of course, now once again, the tool I use for that is the second one from the corner down here. It looks like a little globe with arrows. That brings this up where you can actually click into it, rotate it, and look at it and all that kind of stuff. All right, we've got our boxes textured. We've got a collision on it. Okay, the next step is the question that everybody has, is the proper way to link the LODs and the collision to the master node. First, we're going to have to build the master node, and we're going to do that right now. Make sure you click on the Create tab and make sure it says Standard Primitives, just like you're going to build a box or a sphere. But don't grab none of these. Go all the way instead, all the way to the right where it says Helpers. It's a little white tab with a little red thing coming off. It looks kind of like a little tape measure with a red piece of little tape at the side. Click on that and then go down and click Dummy. Now I always go over here to my top view. You can do how you want to. I go to my top view and I put that little dummy pretty close to the center of the grid right there. Just build a little bitty dummy like that. Okay, and then I come over here because this is no dummy really. It's what tells you where you're going to place your item. You can pick it up, you can put it down. Very important to have that in there. So we always, I was instructed to do it, and others do it. That was before me, so we name it Master. You can leave it alone, or you can name it Master. Always name it Master. So we've got that renamed. We've got it there. And while we have it there, we're going to click on the Move tool up here, and we're going to put it on zeros. 0, 0. Now, we could leave it there, or because it's a deck, we may want to put it down here toward the end so that you can get rid of the deck if you need to, easier than going all the way to the middle of it like I've had some decks do. So this is a 40-meter deck, so we could probably safely say, using the Move tool again, and do a drop-down menu, click Master, select. Now it's selected, and we're showing it at 0, 0, 0. Now on the Y-axis, we're going to put a, let's say this is a 40-meter deck, so we're going to make about 17 meters. Should put us pretty close to the entrance of that thing. But we're going to put a minus 17. Okay, minus 17 to bring it up to this edge. Okay, that's good. You can move it wherever you want to. You could use the Move key and use your click on it, and you could use your mouse to move it where you want to. Really want it pretty close to this edge right here on the face of me is where I want to put it. And let me see what that looks like. All right, you notice when I move in on it that it looks like it's hanging down on the bottom some. But I want to click this one tool I was telling you about earlier, this Select and Uniform Scale. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to that little darling right there, that master node, I'm going to put about 20%. And what that's going to do is that's going to make that thing real small. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit my Move tab again and bring it up maybe 1 meter. Now you can move it however you want to. I just want to make sure that it's within the bounds and it's in there. And I'm going to rotate, look at the top again. That's my perspective view, and you can see that thing is right in the middle in there. See? Now I'm going to click on my Move tool again, and I'm going to move this thing closer to the front edge, just like that. Okay, now you can put it, like I say, where you want to when you build yours. All right, now then, here comes the question everybody wants to know. How do you properly link all this stuff? Now that you've got it all made and you've got the master node in place, what are you going to do with that? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to link it all this stuff to the master node. We're going to bring down that little drop down box I was telling you about, remember? We're going to click on that. It's going to bring this down. We're going to click on the collision, and we're going to hold my shift key down and go all the way to the bottom and click on that. Now you want everything highlighted in blue except for the master, and you want to hit select, and that box goes away. You simply go up here to the little link button, click link, hit the drop down box again, and the only thing you see is master. If you see anything else, you're going to have to go back a few steps because you didn't have everything highlighted or something went wrong. Click master, link, and that's it. You're ready to export. How simple is that? All right, we're going to click file. Well, first of all, we're going to click this little arrow that's going to do away with the link button. You know, we want to make sure we don't accidentally hit link again. File. We're going to export to Stone Deck model. Hit save. Okay? So this is a grass deck. All right, we're ready to export. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit bring up our little previewer. Come on, previewer. File. And we're going to open. Now this is a stone deck that I made earlier, just so I could show you. But see the way it is. It don't matter how you build it in there. You're going to come up with this. You're going to have to retexture it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to materials, and we're going to click on that, and we're going to browse for that texture, and we're going to put that grass back on there that I showed you earlier. Boom, apply. There it is. We now have a 40 by 40 grass deck. Now, just a quick note on the material editors. You could click affected by light and hit apply, and it's darker, and that way it don't glow in the dark, and that's really the way you want it on grass. Also, another thing is animation. I want to uncheck that so you can see it better. Animation, you can do several different animations. Scrolling, you got all kinds of different types to choose from. Number of frames, one. Speed, we'll do about a 22. Watch this thing kick. It's rolling, man. Makes you feel like you're flying off of a cliff. Okay. Now that's cool. That's pretty cool. Now, we're going to reverse it. You got all kind of different ways to do it. You can alternate it to where it's actually just shifting back and forth. That's pretty cool too. I didn't want to go into a lot of this, but you could play around with that and see what you think about some of that stuff. I like this one. I like this motion because it just kind of jumps around in all kinds of different places. And you know, there may be something that you'd need that kind of movement for, and if you do, well, there it is. You have a swaying where it just kind of goes back and, you know, kind of just moves around back and forth and stuff. That'll make you dizzy. But we're going to say none. We don't want nothing on our grass deck, just the grass. Just the grass. That's all we want. Now, before we submit that to there, I need to, come on, stay in there. Stay with it there. Okay. What I want to do is I want to take a snapshot of it. Now you can go to your background and set color, and you can change your background color to what you want before you put this deck in. I'm thinking maybe it might show up really good with a black background, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to test that theory out. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to hit File, Snapshot, Deck. Okay, I just took a snapshot of my product. That's an easy way to do it. If you want to go into your Photoshop and make a better representation of it, you have to use the same I don't have those numbers before me right now, but it's got to be the same as this. You could go to where you save this one, and then it's going to be the right size. You can just change it up. All right, here we go. Let's see if it's going to fly. We're going to click submit to there. Hit next. Hit next. It shows up as a deck foundation configuration 4. Now we're going to go to details, and here's what it shows. It shows the estimated wholesale fee is going to be 4,850 T-bucks. It's going to cost you 9,500 to put it in, and it shows you all the information of how you built it. Okay. All right, that's it for this first kind of a beginner's lesson. I hope it'll help you at least get pointed and started in the right direction. This is Circuit Rider signing off there.